Good evening. Rain records have been smashed and homes are still under threat tonight after our destructive late winter deluge.
There's flood advice in place for residents around Old Noarlunga and Port Noarlunga due to the swollen Onkaparinga River, while at Stone Hut, north of Laura, a trail bridge has been dramatically washed away.
A ute driver had to be rescued at Currency Creek while another man's counting his blessings, surviving after his car was crushed by a falling tree.
Just after 5 a.m. outside Maiponga, a Sunrise cameraman found Peter waist deep and calling 000.
I've just driven into water across the road.
30 or 40 metres, it was coming up over the bonnet and the car just stopped.
And as the sun rose, his stranded car stood as a sign to steer clear. Eventually, Good Samaritans, a father and son on a tractor, making the successful retrieval.
The road there and putting him out and hopefully he can get going soon.
Drivers rolling the dice in the extreme conditions, coming unstuck and left stranded or worse. Just 100 metres away, a freak crash, a fallen trunk destroying the front of a car on Pages Flat Road. The SA water worker at the wheel, incredibly uninjured.
No, I'm feeling blessed. Praise Jesus that I'm alive.
If that would have went on the roof, he wouldn't be here now, mate.
A van also broke down in the mayhem as the south coast was smashed. An almost 80 mil lashing which went into the morning. Waterlogging Stobie poles, filling dams to the point of overflowing. The floodgates opening at Mount Bold for the second time in 2 weeks.
What brought you down here?
We went to see Mount Bold, but it's not open.
Oh, because of all the water coming through.
Yeah.
Several towns on the southern York Peninsula are without Telstra coverage after the exchange was flooded. The SES responded to almost 140 calls for assistance.
Leaking roofs, water entering through, skylights, damage to roofs.
While locals shovelled sandbags as a high tide saw the Onkaparinga River overflow at Old Noarlunga, swiftwater rescue crews helping a ute driver in strife at Currency Creek.
Hey, can we ask you what happened in there?
Nah.
Messages about avoiding flooded roads not always getting through. Hayden Nelson, 7 News.
Well, let's go live now to Casey Treloar, who joins us from Adelaide South tonight.
And Casey, homes there are still under threat from flooding.
That's right, Rosanna. We are at Old Noarlunga where the Onkaparinga River is holding steady for now, but there is a chance it may not have reached its peak yet. So a nervous night for residents on the banks here. The SES is taking no chances with several crews on standby continually monitoring the situation. Now, it's the result of water still being released upstream from the Mount Bold Reservoir. Elsewhere, still plenty of water moving across roads through the Hills and the Fleurieu, as well as the Flinders Ranges. Swollen rivers once again rapidly washing over roads there. The good news, though, this rain event is over with some dry and considerably warmer temperatures on the way, but there is still a risk of downpours as we head into spring.
Obviously, conditions are very saturated out there, so we'll obviously have to keep an eye on any further systems over the coming weeks that could result in renewed flooding.
As for this rain event being a record breaker, several regional areas smashed daily August records, including Port Lincoln, Edithburgh, Mount Lofty, Willunga and Maiponga. That's officially. Unofficially, though, some private rain gauges in Crafers collected around 100 millimetres. All this capping off what has been South Australia's wettest winter in 10 years. Rosanna?
All right, thank you, Casey. A bus driver and his passenger have been badly hurt in a nasty peak hour crash at Port Adelaide. They were trapped by their legs for up to an hour when the bus slammed into a concrete railway bridge.
More than a dozen emergency services personnel crowd around a bus's cabin.
I think they're still trying to get the driver out, so it's crazy.
The 37-year-old trapped by his legs and in immense pain.
He required IV fluids, blood and a significant amount of medication for the extrication to occur.
His bus had slammed into a concrete pillar in the middle of Commercial Road this morning, shutting down lanes of traffic, the train line overhead and requiring a heavy rescue response.
To actually remove the steering column in the front of the bus
off of those lower limbs.
It took more than an hour to free the driver. He was taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital along with an injured passenger who'd been sitting behind him. 3 other commuters were left shaken.
I think it was a young girl. She was sitting over there and like a blanket wrapped around her. She just seemed a bit scared and like shocked.
Witnesses have told 7 News the bus driver swerved to avoid a collision with a motorist pulling out of a side street.
And then, you know, a big heavy bus which people know can't stop quickly. And that's happened.
Footage from the bus's onboard cameras will be crucial to the police investigation. Lauren Rose, 7 News.
Police are also investigating a serious crash on the notorious Victor Harbour Road. A Suzuki hatchback and a Toyota van collided at Hindmarsh Valley just after 6:15 this morning. The driver of the hatchback, a 43-year-old woman from Port Adelaide, suffered serious injuries. A 26-year-old behind the wheel of the work van was treated for minor injuries.
Dozens of homebuyers have been left high and dry, claiming they're victims of another suburban development debacle. Some signed 2 years ago for apartments at Port Adelaide's Dock 1 development, but under a legal loophole, those contracts have now been torn up.
Life by the water, a dream sold to dozens of buyers who thought they'd found the perfect investment or place to call home.
It all seemed pretty easy, almost too good to be true, I guess.
That vision shattered in May when developer Kite Projects tore up their contracts, saying it couldn't secure a builder.
It felt really disappointing to have that taken away and sort of having no power over the decision.
Nicole was one of 39 customers who signed up for the Compass Apartments, using her father's inheritance to break into the property market.
I feel angry. I feel really, really angry about it.
Graham Smearley also had his contract cancelled. He says he was given just 7 days to sign a termination deed and offered bonus interest on his deposit. But when he started asking questions,
I was told, go away and we're also rescinding your goodwill offer.
After scrolling through Kite's website, something caught the buyer's eye. New cargo apartments with the same design listed for almost double the price. The title on the floor plans PDF, also familiar.
It's hard to comprehend that they can be so blatant about doing these sorts of things.
Following 7 News inquiries, the page was taken down, Kite claiming the temporary staging site was briefly live for internal testing purposes only, and insisting it doesn't reflect eventual pricing, design or specifications of any future project. Kite says 15 months of civil works delays pushed the project into unprecedented market inflation. By the time it sought main tenders, material and labour costs had surged 25%, blowing the original design budget. All that time pricing buyers out of the market too.
I'm not sure how on a single income I will buy a property at this point in my life.
Madison Stanley, 7 News.
And Madison joins us now from Port Adelaide. Maddie, Consumer and Business Services is investigating.
It is, Will, but it's hard to see what action it can take because the developer hasn't done anything illegal. This saga has reignited calls for the state government to tighten sunset clause laws and give buyers greater protection. And tonight, 7 News can reveal those changes are on the way. The Consumer and Business Affairs Minister has told me this development will form part of the government's review.
They certainly mean that there is a need for change in this area, and there's something that the government will be announcing soon.
Now, in the meantime, Consumer and Business Services will continue looking into these contracts, with affected buyers encouraged to contact them for advice. As for any new developments here, Kite says it will only go to market once it's appointed a builder and set a fixed start date.